Our environments change. As we grow or downsize, requirements might be a little bit different. How many hours should I be working? Do I need to come to the office every day, or is it on certain days? Our interview processes have just become very, very complex. Here's a person on Reddit talking about how an HR case was filed against him for clearing his throat too loud. And he thinks it's unfair that a complaint was filed against him because no one ever mentioned this to him before. What I hear is he thinks an HR complaint was filed, but he actually says that it was uncomfortable that HR was brought in, and he wishes they would have talked to him first. I agree, it'd be nice if your coworkers would talk to you about these things, but it's also probably a very uncomfortable thing for them. And what I would really recommend for this Reddit user is to just have a great conversation with HR about that this is in fact a medical condition that he is being served for, and they might be able to make a reasonable accommodation. And I think in this case, a reasonable accommodation for him or for his teammate might be to have an enclosed office for a period of time until have the medical issue resolved a little bit more. The other thing that I'm really wondering about is how approachable is this person, and what is the overall culture like? Do they have a culture of trust? Do they have a culture of teamwork? Or is this a place where you're supposed to kind of keep to your own? So overall, I feel like this situation could be handled pretty easily by having a conversation with HR about the facts of the situation, and maybe even, talking to some of your teammates about that you understand that this might be distracting to them, and you appreciate their support as you're working through it. We have an employee talking about they're in a fairly large employee setting. There is some bias going on with team members that have kids with those who don't. This particular team member has a long commute. Felt like they were told that they could have flexibility in their working hours, and this was all a verbal agreement. But lately, they've been asked to stay longer, be in the office longer, and that they could definitely do this because they do not have children, and those who had children needed to be the ones working from home. She specifically mentions that they were hired under verbal condition to have flexibility in their work hours. And one of the things I know that happens regularly in companies is that our environments change. As we grow or downsize or take on new projects, requirements might be a little bit different. So a verbal authorization isn't necessarily a standing authorization for long term. It might be a short term thing. Where's the conversation around the situation? But I would strongly encourage them to talk to first of all, their manager and their HR team about what the expectations are. Gain some clarity, right? Miscommunication can be cleared up by clarifying. Well, then let's get clarity here. How many hours should I be working? Do I need to come to the office every day, or is it on certain days? Yes, you're a distance from the environment, and yes, you're working for a company that you might need to show up in the office. You, for example, working 30 miles away, sounds like we're given a verbal agreement to an accommodation, which is you could have flexible hours. And now it's feeling like that's being taken away. Well, is it? Or is it just a message you're getting? This is so interesting. So she applied for a job, got through the second round of interviews, was called and offered the job. She asked for 10 days in order to relocate. They even said they would help with the relocation. She's very excited about this. And the next morning she gets an email that tells her, hey, thanks, but no thanks. They decided to close the role and they're not going to move forward with the hiring. Wow. So here she is thinking she's hired. What I realize is I think this probably happens more than not. This might have been an exploration part of, hey, when can you start? And she was never really made an offer. One thing to pay attention to is, did you get an official offer? If it's verbal, that's very common at first to get a verbal offer. And then they will usually follow up with something in writing. Highly encourage you to ask for that. The bottom line is how disappointing is this? And I think it's happening a lot. In fact, several of my clients right now who are currently looking for a new role are finding this, that they're they're moving to a second, third, and even fourth interview. And then when all said and done, it's sort of like, oh, sorry, we're going in a different direction. Our interview processes have just become very, very complex. For this person, I say, shucks, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry this happened. It also makes me think about, is this the type of company that you would want to work for? If they walk you down that path, lead you down a path of, yeah, you're the right one for us, when can you join? But then turn around and sort of withdraw that. I'm not sure that's a great place to be long term.